Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your pants because they might get blown away. Today's video is about the most brain massaging fucking rotation ever. But does it pay off? Yes, it does. It kind of giga pumps. The only downside is you have to be standing perfectly still right next to the boss and hope that no mechanic hits you and you don't have to move at all for the entire fight. So if you can do that, welcome to playing Curse of Agony. Okay, we're gonna get straight into it. You know the drill. Gonna go over every single talent and every single ability, explain the interactions, and then we're gonna take a look at a video of the rotation, which is an absolute fucking doozy. The main bread and butter of the build is Curse of Agony. Where the hell is it? Right here, this bad boy. And with Mind Flay, combined with this, I guess, main legendary, you can extend the duration of Curse of Agony indefinitely. How can we do this? With a lot of haste and a lot of interactions. So firstly, Visions of Insanity gives you 1 soul fragment when your Mind Flay does damage, and on 9 fragments it empowers your next ability. If you have the dual legendary, there's up to 3 of them. It can empower Vampiric Touch and Mind Blast. This one pertains to Mind Blast, and Mind Blast does double damage and also increases the damage of Mind Flay itself, which is a big portion of our damage. Endless Agonizer. When you Mind Blast, you get Endless Agonizer, and then casting shadow spells and dealing damage with Mind Flay increases the duration of Curse of Agony. Because Mind Flay ticks a lot, the Curse of Agony duration is going to be increased by an absolute shit ton, so it provides indefinite duration on the Curse of Agony. Teachings of Aragal. When you do damage with Shadow Bolt, you have a chance to gain Missile Barrage. Missile Barrage is the thing that makes arcane missiles cast super fast. We are using in this case Shadow Missiles, which is a modifier of arcane missiles, and it combines very nicely with this next legendary. Dealing damage with arcane missiles and Shadow Bolt applies Tainted, which increases the damage of Curse of Agony by 190%. As you can see, our Curse of Agony crits for up to 67k. I think I got a 74k in some other video, so it goes up to some really nutty numbers. Harvest, yeah, we will get back to these because there are more legendaries that combine and provide value from this, as you will see. But Harvest Essence combines with Afflicted Soul. Casting Shadow Bolt or Haunt gives you 1 stack, and on 5 stacks, your next Drain Soul combined with Afflicted Soul will cause the target to take 25% more periodic damage. Since all of our damage is periodic, this is a huge buff of 25%, including incorporating your Drain Soul rotation, your cast for like 3 to 4 seconds every 30 seconds. It is super valuable. Impending Doom, your Mind Blast and Shadow Word Death apply Impending Doom, so your next 5 periodic hits will do 20% more damage. This one, I don't think it is so valuable. Here you can see it has 20% uptime, which is not huge, and it is also very often consumed by the corruptions instead of the Curse of Agony. So let's assume 1/3 of them go on the Curse of Agony. I should do the paper math. I think overall it provides, you know, net positive gain over a 3% damage talent, so I'm going to keep it for now. I still have some rolls maybe to think about later. Fell Energy, 5% haste, very simple. We need so much haste for this build. Master Flare reduces the channel time of Mind Flay, gets us more ticks and more Curse of Agony extend duration. Visions of Blood, this is the one that pertains to Vampiric Touch. When you use this, so you want to be getting these 9 soul fragments and alternating between 1 time Mind Blast, 1 time Vampiric Touch, to ensure that you have Vampiric Touch at all times on the target, because then you will be doing 10%, as you can see, more shadow damage and also 30% more Vampiric Touch damage, but its damage itself is negligible. Let's check it out here. 3%. What about its uptime on it? 40%. You can see that there is a lot of room for improvement in the rotation. Okay, now we're getting into the Curse of Agony talents. Impending Agony. Curse of Agony builds up faster, 25% stronger, and also benefits from Spell Haste. Once again, this is why you're stacking haste to improve the damage of Curse of Agony. Endless Agony, dealing damage with Curse of Agony and Mind Flay, increases the damage of Curse of Agony by an absolute huge amount. I think it is 125%, so once again doubling it. Amaltazad's Curse, 5% crit, so we can get close to the crit cap. I had 95%, so we could do with one more 5% crit talent from somewhere. However, the build is already pretty cluttered. Lessons in Shadow, dealing damage with Unstable Affliction, Curse of Agony, and Shadow Bolt. Grants you Lessons in Shadow, which increases the chance to proc Missile Barrage. So we were proccing Missile Barrage from Shadow Bolt. That chance is now further increased by that talent. And the way it works out, you ideally want to be casting Shadow Bolt with the Nightfall procs. Nightfall is a proc that you get from Corruption. As you're doing damage, you get instant cast Shadow Bolt sometimes, and those will proc the fast channeling Shadow Missiles, which will increase the damage of Curse of Agony by 200%. Let's see. Flaying Darkness, Consuming Darkness, which is a buff that you get on from just periodic Shadow Word Pain and Mind Flay damage. It resets the cooldown of Mind Blast and allows you to cast it. And when you cast Mind Blast with this talent, you reduce the cast time of Mind Flay by 25%, so you get more ticks and you further extend the duration of Curse of Agony. Consumed by Shadows, 12% shadow damage when you snapshot Curse of Agony at the very start of the fight. And the rest of the talents, you can kind of imagine why they're there. Let's talk about the abilities. Obviously, we want to run all three corruptions, that is Corruption, Jadefire Corruption, and Shadow Arrow. This is to have really high uptime on our Eradication, which is 20% spell casting speed, absolutely important. Both Shadow Word Pains, because it procs Darkness and also is sustained by the general Mind Flay rotation. Curse of Agony, our main damage source. Haunt, which is a very insanely good spell, basically increases the damage of Curse of Agony by 20% when it's up on the target, and you want to ideally be casting it to refresh with Everlasting Affliction. This is a talent which increases the damage of Corruption, also allows it to be permanently refreshed by Haunt and Shadow Bolt. So you want to refresh Corruption either with hard cast Haunt or with the instant Shadow Bolts from Nightfall. Mind Blast for the rotation with all the talents. Shadow Missiles, once again for the talents. Vampiric Touch, Shadow Waste Bolt, Mind Flay, Shadow Form, 10% shadow damage. 4 Totems for 80 haste, 80 crit rating. Succubus for 5% shadow damage and 5% crit. Arcane Power for the snapshotting. Molten Armor for more crit. Shimmer for a blink. The 2, I took both Vampiric Embraces for, I think it's going to be a lot of general heal and self-sustain. So I was like, why not? I'm gonna test it out. If they're bad, I might just roll them away. Divine Protection and Defensive. And that's about it. Elemental Mastery just to have some more haste at Arcane Power in the Arcane Power window. Oh, and very importantly, Shadow Dance to couple up with the talent Consumed by Shadows for 12% more shadow damage. This covers the setup. It is a lot, and once we get into the rotation, it's going to be probably even more confusing, but bear with me if you can keep up. For the Enchants, I'm running simply 3 Lunar Guidance more spell power, and then ramping up Curse of Agony by an absolute shit ton with Contagion, Improved Curse of Agony, 2 of this for the bonus scaling. I'm not sure what's the optimal one, but this 3% sounded good. Draconic Corruption for perma crit, because Corruption is always sticking. I just didn't have any of the other Draconic ones. 2% crit, 2% haste, 2% shadow damage. For the gear, once again 10 storms for haste in general, super nice, and the highest spell power off pieces I could find. If you have some rings that give insane haste, they could very much be worth it in this setup. Also a bow with haste probably than this one with attack power would be more worth it. Alrighty, let's take a look at the rotation and try to understand what is happening. So the first thing I do is I place down my totems, I reset the timer. I'm not sure if this is optimal, I'm not like a genius on snapshotting, so correct me down in the comments if I'm doing it wrong, but this is what I'm doing. I popped all my CDs, so Shadow Dance, Arcane Power, Elemental Mastery. I put up Haunt. I don't know if that affects the snapshot, but it's just a global at the start, so if it does, it's good. At least I am taking the no risk approach. And then I cast my Shadow Arrow, followed by Corruption, Jadefire Corruption. At that point I do Void Eruption to put up, let's see when it hits, the two Shadow Word Panes. Then I do Mind Blast to activate Endless Agonizer, and I put up Curse of Agony. Okay, at this point we have the setup ready, and we have to monitor our buffs that are going to be incoming and our dots that must be held up. So the two things that we must hold up on one side is right here. The corruptions. The shortest duration of the corruption is the shadow arrow. So this is the one I am tracking. If we keep this one up, we for sure keep up the other ones. You can see 4 seconds left on shadow arrow, and 6-7 seconds left on the other corruptions. So this one we have to keep up either by pressing Haunt or Shadow Bolt. Here we have the instant cast Shadow Bolt procs, so ideally you want to be using this, saving it until this is about to expire and be using it. Let's just start moving. We also are monitoring the Darkness procs, which allow our Mind Blast to empower the next Mind Flay to be cast way faster, as you can see. So this is kind of what I'm doing now. When we do the instant cast Shadow Bolts, as I just did there, you get Missile Barrage procs, which when you use up, let me wait until you use it, put up the Tainted Arcanum, which increases the damage of Curse of Agony by 200%. So these are the main things that we're tracking to upkeep. At the same time, we're gathering through our Mind Flays, which is our main filler. When you don't know what you should be doing, you're just spamming Mind Flay. That is, there's always nothing wrong. As you notice something is about to expire, then you think about how to use your buffs. As you're casting Mind Flay, you get these soul fragments. When you hit 9 soul fragments, you get the empowerment, which can empower either Mind Blast or Vampiric Touch. In this case, because I also have the Darkness proc, I think I'm gonna cast Mind Blast. No, I casted Vampiric Touch. That was actually the right call because we did not have Vampiric Touch up on the target. So once again we get our proc. I refreshed Corruption and I added Vampiric Touch for 10% more shadow damage. Ideally we are monitoring that at all times to try to get good uptime on it. I think I often fuck up in this rotation. Now I'm just gonna let it play and let you know what I'm thinking. So there, my shadow arrow is about to expire. I'm monitoring soul fragments. I have an instant cast Shadow Bolt that I can use to refresh. I refreshed it. Darkness proc. I'm dumping some Shadow Missiles. When you get multiple procs of Shadow Missiles, you want to not use them all at the same time so you don't hit 10 stacks. I'm not sure how many stacks they give, but you anyways want to make sure you alternate between a lot of spells and just really prioritize casting Mind Flay to upkeep Curse of Agony. I used the instant cast Shadow Bolt to continue the corruption. And as we're doing the rotation, you can see we're stacking up this buff here in the center, which is Harvest Essence, that will interact with Drain Soul as we covered earlier. This one you stack up either by casting Haunt or by casting the Shadow Bolt with the instant cast Shadow Bolts. Here I have 5 stacks ready, so my Drain Soul is ready to be cast to give me the buff for 25% more shadow damage. As this is happening, I am considering multiple things. I want to ensure my Endless Agonizer window is up, so after Drain Soul, I'm already casting Mind Flay to make sure that this is kept up. I know also that with Everlasting Affliction, here I started casting Drain Soul, it is the perfect moment. With Everlasting Affliction, Drain Soul is going to refresh here the Shadow Arrow, so I don't need to refresh it using a different spell. I can just keep count of that. Here my Endless Agonizer window is about to expire, so I should probably cast Mind Blast. Let me go back just one moment. As we're casting Drain Soul, I'm monitoring for the buff to pop up. It normally happens around halfway through the duration, depending on how much haste you have. And once the buff popped up for the 25% more shadow damage, I instantly interrupt Drain Soul and I go into my main rotation, which here should be Mind Blast. Let's see, yeah, Mind Blast, and I do Mind Flays to upkeep. I used up there because my Shadow Arrow was about to expire. I used up the instant Shadow Bolt cast, and once again going back to monitoring my soul fragment and my empowerment. Here I use Vampiric Touch to keep it up, and then Darkness. You can see now we're at around 60k. I have covered, I think, most of the rotation, and the build will continue to ramp up as you're using your procs. I think it went up to like 63k, but let's just keep watching for a moment. Once again, you can see my 25% is about to expire soon, and I already have the 5 stacks ramped up. So I should be looking to cast Drain Soul very soon. Mind Blast, some Mind Flays to keep up Curse of Agony. And I am really trolling now. My damage could be higher. It is always a good idea to watch your rotation and play back, finally casting Drain Soul, to understand where you can optimize. There, I think I was scared I might fuck up Curse of Agony, so this is why I delayed casting it. I was trying to ramp it up a little bit more. Getting CDs again, and we pop off. I think we go up to 63k. Let's just watch the rotation again. Upkeeping the two main buffs, monitoring all the things, alternating between the soul fragments, getting ready to cast Drain Soul soon, and ideally also keeping up good uptime on Haunt. This rotation, since due to the simple fact that I've been talking for 2 minutes 40 like non-stop with pausing, you can imagine it is very complex, but it is so rewarding and it is like so engaging. I swear I don't think I've seen a more like holy shit, my heart is pumping, if I drop my dot everything is fucked rotation ever. There I actually incidentally dropped my dot. If you drop only one Shadow Arrow and you casted a Shadow Bolt for the next global, your other corruptions are still ticking, so you don't have to worry about that. You just need to reapply Shadow Arrow again, and remember in your next round of cooldowns to snapshot it again. I think that's it, boys. I hope I didn't give you a brain aneurysm. I hope you're gonna be okay. You know, take a moment, take a sleep on it, rest, and figure out what to do. If you can do the rotation better, you know, obviously let me know. I am super interested in better ways to optimize it. What was I gonna check? Oh yes, the breakdown. Curse of Agony critting a lot, Mind Flay decent damage, Shadow Arrow and Corruption also decent damage, but not like impressive. The priest stuff, you know, absolutely kind of irrelevant in this rotation. This is why choosing Devouring Plague is not so good, because to buff up, you know, the priest damage. So this is it for tonight's video. I hope you enjoyed it, guys, and I wish you all the best. Peace.